Imagine you are standing in your kitchen, right? You have all the ingredients just perfectly laid out on the counter in front of you.
Yeah, you're totally prepped.
Exactly. You've got your flour, your sugar, the eggs, the butter. Everything is measured out perfectly.
Right, the hard part is supposed to be done.
But then when it actually comes time to mix them together to bake the cake, you completely freeze.
Oh, I know that feeling.
You just stare at the bowls, totally paralyzed, like having absolutely no idea how to actually combine these raw materials into something you can, serve to another human being.
Yeah, the execution just falls apart.
And that feeling, that exact paralysis, is how a surprisingly large number of people feel about everyday conversation.
It's so true. It really is.
Like you have the vocabulary, you know the grammar, but when you are standing face-to-face with someone in the break room, the mixing process just completely shuts down.
You just go blank.
Totally blank. So today we are taking a deep dive into the mechanics of human connection. We're using this incredibly practical English conversation guide called Small Talks You Need to Know.
And it's a great resource for this.
It really is. And the mission today for you listening, it isn't just about learning language rules. We are looking at this as a masterclass in breaking the ice.
Because mastering these incredibly simple, everyday interactions, that is your ultimate shortcut.
Exactly. It's the shortcut to feeling well-informed, socially confident, and just, comfortable in your own skin when you're out in the world.
And it's such a common phenomenon. The source material actually points this out right at the beginning.
Right.
It says people can know the grammar perfectly, they can technically speak the language, but they still don't know what to actually say in everyday situations.
Yeah, they have all the ingredients, like we said.
Exactly. They have the ingredients, but the execution of the recipe, like the actual social interaction itself, is where the breakdown happens.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And what this guide does so well is it strips away the complexity. It shows us the actual skeletal structure of how a conversation begins.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second because I have a question.
Sure, go for it.
If knowing the rules of the language doesn't actually equal knowing how to have the conversation, then what is the actual point of the game we're playing here?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah. The guide specifically defines small talk as a short and friendly conversation about everyday topics.
Right.
And it says it helps people feel more confident and make new friends. But I have to push back a little bit here.
Okay, let's hear it.
Isn't this kind of chit-chat just inherently superficial? I know so many people who say they absolutely hate small talk.
Oh, totally. People complain about it all the time.
Right. They want to skip the fluff and just jump right into deep, meaningful conversations. So why shouldn't we just bypass the everyday stuff entirely?
I get that. It is incredibly tempting to view small talk as a waste of time, especially if you're someone who really values deep connection.
Yeah, exactly.
But if we look closely at what the source is actually telling us, it emphasizes everyday topics precisely because they are simple.
Wait, because they're simple?
Yes. Small talk is not about the exchange of profound data. It's not an information transfer,
Okay, so what is it then?
It is a social bridge. When two humans interact for the first time, or even just the first time that day, there's this subconscious barrier of uncertainty.
Oh, like an awkwardness.
Right. Small talk establishes safety before substance. It's this low-stakes ritual where both parties prove to each other that they are pleasant, cooperative, and engaged.
Okay, can we actually test that theory for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's just do a really quick role play. I'm going to skip the bridge entirely and just jump right into the deep end with you. Ready?
Okay. Let's try it.
Hi, I'm the host. It's nice to meet you. Do you think that free will is an illusion, or are we entirely responsible for our own moral failings?
Okay, wow. My immediate physiological reaction to that is to take a step back and look for the exit.
See? It's terrible, right?
It feels like an interrogation. Or, honestly worse, like a trap. I don't know you well enough to trust what you're going to do with my answer to that.
It's so jarring. And the funny thing is, I know this from painful personal experience.
Oh no. What did you do?
Well, a few years ago, I was at this networking event, right? And I was just so determined not to be quote unquote boring.
I can already see where this is going.
Yeah, so I walked up to a complete stranger by the appetizer table and literally asked, "What's the biggest regret of your career?"
Oh my gosh. You didn't?
I did. And the poor guy just stared at me with this look of absolute terror.
I bet.
He mumbled something about grabbing another drink and literally practically ran away. It was a complete disaster.
That is hilarious, but it perfectly illustrates the underlying psychology here.
It really does.
Because when you approach a stranger, you aren't just two minds exchanging ideas, you are dealing with human biology.
Biology? Really?
Yeah, from an evolutionary standpoint, encountering someone outside of your immediate tribe historically meant potential danger. Oh, wow. I never thought about it like that.
Right. Our brains are hardwired to run an immediate unconscious threat assessment when we meet someone new.
So I was basically a walking red flag by the appetizers.
Exactly. When you bypassed the small talk and demanded a high-stakes, emotionally vulnerable answer, his amygdala likely flared up.
The fight or flight part of the brain.
Yes.
Yeah.
You registered as a literal social threat.
Man, so what does this all mean for us? Like, the whole how's the weather routine isn't just filler, it's literally a biological de-escalation tactic.
That is the core of it, yeah. Small talk is how we signal, hey, I understand the social contract, I am cooperative, and I am not a threat.
Wow.
You're establishing a baseline of trust before you ask someone to reveal anything vulnerable about themselves.
Which brings up a really interesting question about the materials we are actually using to build this trust.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, if the whole point is to prove we are safe, how exactly does the guide suggest we do that? The text gives us very specific situational scripts, right?
Yes, it breaks it down nicely. It outlines core categories, like the weather, work, studies, hobbies, and weekend plans.
Right, the classics.
Yeah, and for a first-time meeting, it suggests asking, where are you from? And he gives this example of one person saying they're from Pakistan and the other responding that they're from Canada. Then for school or work, it's things like, how's your day going? Or how was your weekend? With the suggested answer, it was great. I spent time with my family.
Notice how deliberately mundane those categories are.
Yeah, they are super basic.
They're universal touch points. Everyone has a hometown, everyone has a weekend.
Right, but then there's the classic, the absolute king of small talk,
Oh.
the weather.
Oh, yes.
The weather.
The script provided in the source is literally, it's really hot today, isn't it? With response, yes, it is. I think it's hotter than yesterday.
Classic textbook exchange.
But why? Like, why is commenting on the temperature literally just noticing that it is hotter than yesterday? Such a universally relied upon script, even in a formal guide like this. It almost feels a bit cliche, doesn't it? It does feel cliche, but what's fascinating here is the deliberate use of that cliche.
How so?
These topics are intentionally, systematically low stakes because they require almost zero cognitive load.
Zero cognitive load. Okay.
Yeah, think about the threat assessment we just talked about. If I ask you a highly specific question about your field of work right off the bat,
I have to think about it.
exactly. I am demanding that you perform as an expert. I'm putting the burden of performance on you, which creates stress.
Right, nobody wants a pop quiz with their coffee.
But the weather, no one needs a degree to experience the weather. It is a shared reality.
That makes total sense.
By saying, it's really hot today, isn't it? You are offering an invitation to agree. It practically guarantees a successful mutual interaction because the answer is almost always going to be yes.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah.
It takes the pressure off having to be inherently fascinating
Yeah.
and reduces it to just being cooperative.
Exactly.
You are handing them a conversational ball that is basically impossible to drop.
And if you look at the structure of the work and school examples, they function on the exact same principle.
Like the how was your weekend question.
Yeah, how's your day going? Or how was your weekend?
These are open-ended but bounded.
Bounded, meaning they don't require a life story.
Right. Answering, it was great, I spent time with my family, gives just enough personal detail to show warmth, but it doesn't force either person into oversharing. It is a perfectly calibrated micro-interaction.
Okay, I can see how that functions as an opening move. You establish that it's hotter than yesterday, or that you both had nice weekends.
Yeah, you break the ice.
But here is the part where I always see people panic.
The dreaded pause.
Yes. You get past that opening line, and then both of you just kind of stare at each other. The silence starts creeping in.
It's a very real fear.
You need some kind of engine to keep the conversation moving forward without immediately jumping into my terrible biggest life regret territory.
Right, and the source material provides a very clear schematic for that engine.
Oh, really? Yes. The primary strategy stated in the guide is pretty straightforward. It says, ask follow-up questions and show interest in the other person.
Okay, so turning the spotlight on them.
Exactly. This is how you transition from the initial shared reality, like the hot weather, into a slightly more personal, but still entirely safe territory.
And the guide actually gives a whole menu of these follow-up questions. Things like, what do you do for work or study? Or have you seen any good movies lately?
Those are great ones.
Yeah. Or what kind of music do you like? Or do you enjoy traveling? What's your favorite food?
Food is always a winner.
Oh, always.
Yeah.
And it gives a great example of diving into hobbies too, where one person asks what the other likes to do in their free time, and the response is, I enjoy listening to podcasts and reading books.
Which, obviously, we highly endorse.
Obviously. Best hobby ever.
But it's a great example because it opens up a new avenue. If someone says they listen to podcasts and read books, you instantly have a wealth of follow-up questions available.
Right, like what kind of podcasts?
Exactly. Or, what was the last book you read? The engine runs on genuine curiosity. You are slowly increasing the level of personal detail, but you are letting the other person dictate the pace.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me, though. The guide doesn't just give you the questions. It heavily emphasizes the reactions.
Yes, the listening part.
Yeah, it lists what it calls quick small talk expressions.
Oh, I love those.
Things like, nice to meet you. That's interesting. Really? I agree. Sounds great. That's awesome. Good to hear. And me too.
Very simple phrases.
Super simple. I look at that list and honestly, I think of them as WD-40 for social interactions.
WD-40, I like that.
Right. It just greases the wheel so nothing gets stuck. But I do have to ask, if you're just standing there relying on these filler phrases saying, really? And that's awesome, over and over. Isn't that just faking interest?
Faking it.
Yeah, is it just a performance?
Well, if you view communication purely as the transmission of facts, then yes, those phrases might seem like useless filler.
Right, they don't really mean anything literally.
But if we look at the function of these phrases in building trust, they aren't fake at all. They are active listening signals.
Active listening signals, okay.
Communication requires a sender and a receiver, right?
Yeah.
When someone is telling you about the books they read or their weekend plans, they need continuous confirmation that you are actually processing the information.
And that you're still a safe audience.
Exactly.
So they need a receipt.
A receipt. That is a great way to put it. These quick expressions, that's interesting, good to hear. There are verbal nods.
Just proving you're there.
Right. They validate the speaker. If you don't use these, if you just stand there in silence while the other person speaks, even if you are listening intently,
It feels creepy.
it does. The other person will feel like they are talking to a brick wall. The engine stalls. These expressions signal, I am here, I am engaged, keep going.
But let me push back on that again, because I really want to understand the mechanics here.
Sure, push back.
If we're both just exchanging verbal nods, asking about the weather and saying that's awesome, aren't we just performing a robotic script?
I see what you mean.
Like, how do you actually build a real friendship or a real connection from two people just bouncing the same 5 safe phrases back and forth? It feels like we're just skimming the surface forever.
That is the crux of the issue, really. And it's a trap a lot of people fall into when they critique small talk.
Right, because it feels hollow.
But the small talk itself isn't the friendship. It is the foundation. Think about those quick phrases as micro-validations.
Micro-validations.
Every time you say, that's interesting, or me too, you are depositing a tiny amount of trust into the interaction.
Building a little bank account of trust.
Exactly. You are proving moment by moment that you are attentive and responsive. You don't build a real friendship by staying in the small talk phase forever.
Okay, that's a relief.
You build it because the small talk phase generated enough mutual trust to eventually support heavier, more complex topics.
So it's like a test run.
Yes. You are essentially proving you can handle the small things respectfully, which signals you can handle the big things.
Okay, so the WD-40 keeps things moving, and those micro-validations build the trust over time.
Right.
But what happens if the conversation starts moving too fast or steering off a cliff? Where are the guardrails in this guide?
Guardrails are crucial.
Because surely there's a limit to how much trust you can build in a 10-minute coffee break.
Absolutely, and the guardrails are very clearly defined in the guide. The text is explicit on this point. It says, avoid sensitive topics when talking to people you don't know well.
Which goes right back to my disastrous networking event.
It definitely does.
But let's dig into the why of that for a second. We know the goal is to build safety. Why are sensitive topics like politics, religion, or highly personal finances so universally recognized as danger zones in these early interactions?
It goes right back to that evolutionary threat assessment we talked about earlier.
Oh, the amygdala stuff again.
Yes. Sensitive topics are, by their very nature, deeply tied to our core identities, our values, and our worldview.
Right. They're the things we care about most.
When you introduce a sensitive topic with someone you don't know well, you are introducing a high probability of conflict or deep disagreement.
You are introducing risk.
Precisely. You are forcing the other person's brain to suddenly evaluate whether your differing worldview is a threat to their safety or social standing.
Wow, so their body literally reacts to an idea like a physical threat.
It does. The physiological fight or flight response can kick in just as easily for a perceived ideological threat as a physical one.
That's wild.
So when you hit a sensitive topic too early, the safe environment you just spent the last 5 minutes building with weather talk and follow-up questions completely collapses.
Oh, I see. The trust hasn't had time to cure yet, so the structure just falls apart.
That makes total sense. You have to wait for the concrete to dry before you drive a truck over it. And the guide actually pairs that boundary about avoiding sensitive topics with what it calls its final advice, which I think is just the perfect antidote for anyone feeling info overload right now.
What's the final advice?
The guide says, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Small talk is not about perfect English. It's about connecting with people.
Wow. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the rule about avoiding sensitive topics and the advice about not worrying about perfection are functioning toward the exact same end.
How do you mean?
Well, they both prioritize the psychological comfort of the interaction over the technical execution.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, for anyone who suffers from social anxiety, or for someone learning a new language who feels completely overwhelmed by the vocabulary, that advice is huge. It removes the pressure of performing perfectly.
Because the goal of the interaction isn't linguistic perfection.
It's connection.
Right. If the goal is connection, then stumbling over a word or mixing up your grammar doesn't actually matter to the underlying biological assessment happening between two people.
They don't care if you use the wrong verb tense.
Exactly. In fact, sometimes making a small mistake, acknowledging it, and laughing about it can actually build more rapport than speaking like a flawless dictionary.
This shows vulnerability.
It does. The ultimate goal is proving to the other person that you are safe to connect with. Are you warm? Are you paying attention? Are you respectful of the boundaries?
That is what people remember, not whether you use the perfect word.
Precisely.
This raises an important question for anyone trying to implement this in their daily life. How often do we block our own ability to connect because we are trying to overcomplicate the interaction?
Oh, all the time. People overthink it constantly.
We spend so much time worrying about the ingredients. Do I have the right vocabulary? Am I going to sound smart? What if I don't have anything utterly fascinating to say?
Yeah, the performance anxiety kicks in.
But the reality is the person across from you doesn't need you to be fascinating. They just need you to be present.
It is a profound shift in perspective when you realize that being quote-unquote boring but safe is actually the most biologically successful way to start a relationship.
The source gives us permission to be simple.
It really does.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, let's summarize the real aha moments here for you listening.
Yeah.
True communication, especially in these everyday moments, is not about perfect grammar or dropping profound insights on an unsuspecting stranger.
No, save the free will debate for later.
Exactly. It is about utilizing simple, shared realities like the weather or weekend plans to signal that you are a cooperative human being.
Right.
It's about deploying that engine of follow-up questions to show genuine curiosity. It's about utilizing those quick validating expressions, that social WD-40, to give the other person the receipts they need to feel heard.
The micro-validations.
Yes. And above all, it is prioritizing human connection and psychological safety over flawless execution. So here's my challenge to you listening right now.
Oh, a challenge. I like it.
The next time you are at work, or standing in line grabbing a coffee, or waiting in an elevator, don't stare at your phone.
That's the hardest part right there.
It really is. But look at the person next to you and try out one of these tools. Ask how their day is going. Ask if they have any plans for the weekend. Give yourself permission to be simple and see what kind of bridge you can build.
I love that. And as you do that, I will leave you with this one final thought to ponder.
Let's hear it.
If small talk is fundamentally just a standardized social ritual designed to establish that we aren't a threat to one another,
Yeah.
what does it say about human nature that our primary, universally accepted way to prove we are safe is by collectively complaining to each other about the temperature?